Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. 6 eyes wide with something that had no proper name in his language, spine flat against a wall panel gone cold under his exoskeleton. The instructor who had broken 40 species without lifting a claw stood pinned in his own office by someone who didn't reach his chest plate. How does a creature that size do that to a creature this size? 3 days earlier, the hall had smelled of ozone and fresh polish. 6 eyes doing the counting they always did on intake morning. Height, mass, the visible softness of new recruits. This batch offered nothing to count. No plating, no claws worth naming, skin in a dozen shades that told him nothing useful. Vex 9 had trained Corvani, who could bench a landspeeder, and Zelthak, who blurred mid-stride. He had never trained something built this unarmed. "You will address me as instructor," he told the ragged line, voice pitched to rattle the observation glass above them. "For 6 cycles, I will attempt to make soldiers from whatever nature gave up on halfway through assembling you." Nobody flinched the way species usually flinched. One recruit near the front held his gaze rather than dropping it, hair scraped back, green eyes running their own quiet count. Her tag read Martinez. "Something amusing, recruit." "No, instructor, just listening." He closed the distance until his shadow swallowed her, his breath carrying the low rot of his last meal. "The last human who talked back to me is currently failing coordination drills. Weeping, I'm told." "Then he's ahead of schedule, sir. Most recruits don't start weeping until week 2. A ripple moved down the line, something between a laugh and a held breath. His mandibles clicked, the sound his species made when a translation refused to land. He returned to the speech that had worked on 40 species before this one. The Corvani's plating, the Zelthak's blinding sprint, the Grim built from birth for the kill floor. And then there's you. No claws, no armor, no speed worth measuring. Your kind hasn't finished mapping its own solar system. Structurally speaking, you are a snack. "There's a pool running among the staff," he added, mandibles spreading wide now. "Wagers on which of you cracks first. Current odds favor 48 hours. What happens to the money if none of us crack, sir?" The question sat wrong in the quiet hole before he understood why. "You will crack. Everything cracks. I have broken things far better armed than you." "With respect, instructor," Martinez said, voice not moving an inch off calm, "you keep naming animals bigger than us. We grew up surrounded by animals bigger than us. Cats with teeth built for tearing. Sharks that never stop swimming. Something called a Kodiak that could remove your skull with one paw. We didn't out-armor any of them. We just kept showing up. Sentiment isn't strategy. Call it what you like." Every recruit in this hall descends from an unbroken chain of things that refuse to lose to something stronger. That's not poetry, sir. That's 300,000 years of arithmetic. Something sharpened behind her eyes. "You said we're basically prey. Fair enough. You left out the part where prey occasionally turns and takes a piece out of whatever's chasing it." Above them, the observation windows had filled without his noticing. Instructors from 4 other species pressed to the glass, drawn by whatever quiet had settled over Hall 7. He straightened to full height, told himself the exchange was finished. It was not finished. It had barely opened. By the second day, the reports on his desk stopped making sense. The obstacle course, built to humble recruits one at a time, had been solved as a single organism, the tallest forming a ladder for those who couldn't reach, the smallest thrown bodily to a platform 2 others couldn't have cleared alone. Assistance was explicitly barred by the course's own rules. Nobody had informed the humans that this mattered. The tactical simulation was worse. It had no clean solution by design, built to teach every species that some losses buy the win. The humans returned 0 casualties, having ignored formation, ignored doctrine, ignored every instruction the simulation assumed they'd respect. They moved like one nervous system stretched across 9 bodies, closing gaps that weren't supposed to exist. By the 3rd day, the fear trials, tailored terrors, keyed to each species' known weak points, sent the humans out laughing, comparing notes like they'd ridden something built for children. Commander Thrala's projection arrived that evening, crystalline face giving nothing away. Your human cohort holds the highest endurance scores this academy has recorded. The council is watching your classroom, Instructor. Do not embarrass this institution. The channel cut before he could answer. He sat with that silence a long while before summoning Martinez. She arrived still in her training uniform, sat without needing to be asked twice, waited with the same maddening stillness that had unsettled him since morning one. He asked her again to explain why none of it, the size gap, the roster of superior species, the wagers, the fear itself, had taken hold. Have you ever set foot on Earth, sir? Why would I visit a mud ball with no orbital infrastructure? Then you've never seen a honey badger work. 20 pounds, no armor, no real weapons. By every rule that should govern it, it's food. Lions steer clear, not because it wins every fight, but because it never pauses to calculate whether it will before starting one. She leaned forward. It doesn't measure the threat, sir. It just goes. We pick that habit up from every stubborn thing that ever shared ground with us. That is not a coherent military doctrine. It's not meant to be one. You keep listing how outmatched we are, expecting the math to fold us. But good math has never once been ours to lean on. Cornered stopped meaning finished for us a long time back. It started meaning pay attention now. He felt his exoskeleton darken, a tell he hadn't shown a recruit in decades. You believe this makes your species dangerous. I believe you spent 3 days trying to strip something away from us and found there was nothing there to strip. No pride built on speed we don't have. No standing built on claws we've never owned. You can't starve a creature that's used to empty hands. She rose, and without appearing to hurry at all, closed the last of the distance until his back met the wall panel, cornered in the very office where he'd cornered 40 other species over 3 centuries. You told us not to push you, sir, but you've been pushing since the first morning, and humans carry exactly one instinct for that. Which is? We push back, harder than whatever leaned on us first. Nothing cruel touched her smile, and somehow that made it worse. You wanted to know what a species with nothing left to lose looks like once it's fully provoked. Now you've stood close enough to find out and walked away with your plating still on. That's the only mercy on offer today. She left him there, sliding down the wall after the door sealed shut, one phrase looping until it stopped sounding like the insult it was meant as. Too stupid to know when they're beaten. Weeks passed. The betting pool dissolved without ceremony. New protocols went up across every observation deck in the academy, and Vex 9 rewrote his own syllabus twice before he stopped throwing pages away. A younger instructor cornered him near the mess hall one evening and asked, half joking, what exactly humans were good for if brute comparison never worked on them. He thought of a badger that didn't pause to calculate, of arms turned into ladders, of a simulation with no clean answer that had somehow closed with everyone breathing. Allies, he said. The kind, too, stubborn to notice when they've already lost. Down on the training floor below the window, 9 humans ran a drill built 2 grades above their rating, laughing through it, refusing, as far as any sensor in the building could confirm, to notice they weren't supposed to be winning.